I've been unconscious for hours.
Yeah, you're very cold and you're sweating profusely, like you're made of snow or something. I don't know. It's kind of weird. All right. Yes, I want to say we've had a couple more comments here. Crumdrade, you didn't know that I was a dancer. Well, now you may continue to presume. I'm not going to answer that. West River Rat, welcome to you. Does the D&D world need more life insurance underwriters? I don't see why not. Adventurers, well, that being said, would adventurers even really be able to be covered by life insurance, given the hazards of their profession? Mittens, you don't hear anything. You don't hear any background sound. Jamoose, can you say a couple lines?
I am here. I can just quickly. I muted your stream. I just have it on my other screen here, and I can hear you. But Mittens, I would suggest refreshing or check your headphones.
Okay.
Because it is broadcasting.
Black Wolf can hear us. All right.
Yep.
Well, if anyone has troubles along the way, or I don't know, the background music seems too loud, or you need me to turn up Jamoose here, let me know. Oh, your laptop was muted? Okay, well.
Well, there you
go. Where we had left off, we went from, well, all classes technically, and then we began more officially with Barbarian. We ended with the Druid. So far, we've had some nitpicks, maybe some verbiage. It has been important to consider that a lot of these features, or these variants or options, have been with the understanding that we might be trading more direct, whether it's battle or a more direct potent effect, for more versatility. And let's pick up here with Fighter, which for many people is the bread and butter, a human fighter. There you go. You want to learn to play D&D? Make a human fighter. There you go. And so this is going to be an interesting starting point, because this is, fighters are the Mario of Super Smash Brothers to D&D. They're the Ryu or Ken to the Street Fighter of D&D. They're that solid middle choice. They're well-rounded. They can do a lot of things. They can do a lot of things pretty well. And let's see if that trend continues with the fighter. Hey, Awaz, welcome. All right, so the fighter. Here we go. First level fighter feature. This enhances, so this would be adding on to the fighting style. When you gain the fighting style feature, you get access to the variants in fighting styles on page 12. The superior technique style is also added to the list of style options available to you. Jamoose, would you like to bounce to 12?
I gotta say, I think we should actually bounce a little bit first, because I want to cover that, because it'll help us explain what else is happening with the fighter. So let's focus in on fighting styles. Now, when we say fighting styles, you guys will see it in the PHB 72. I'm talking archery, defense, dueling, great weapon fighting, protection, two-weapon fighting. It defines how your fighter fights, whether you're going Captain America style or you're going big Zweihander, like Nightmare from Soul Calibur, that kind of thing. But we also have more.
And by doing it now also, this is going to help us engage with the Paladin and the Ranger to come too, because they also get fighting styles.
That's right. Yeah, good idea to establish this now.
All right, so when you choose a fighting style, the following styles are added to the list of options. Blind fighting. Being unable to see a creature doesn't impose disadvantage on your attack rolls against it, provided the creature isn't hidden from you. Okay. Seems pretty straightforward.
Kind of neat. I'm pretty sure that's a feat, if I'm not mistaken. That's just a thing you can pick up. Now you can get it for basically for free.
Interception. When a creature you see hits a target that is within 5 feet of you with an attack, you can use your reaction to reduce the damage the target takes by 1d10 plus your proficiency bonus to a minimum of 0 damage. You must be wielding a shield or a simple martial weapon to use this reaction. This Interception seems like a much better protection fighting style. I don't know, you know, it's more flexible. You don't have to have a shield if you have a simple or even a martial weapon. And it reduces damage. So, I mean, the hit may still occur, damage may still occur. I don't know, what are you thinking here? Is Interception, does that overshadow protection? Or is this a complement in some way?
Well, I know what I'm going to say on that one. I just acknowledge something in the chat here to say Rod's FM16, so now you can play as Daredevil. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, blind fighting, Daredevil, that'd be pretty tight. I like that idea for sure. It's Macabre Derek who said to me to say, you can heal all you want, but if you can remove damage from the equation, just say it never happened. That's a great idea. So now, the protection versus interception. Protection, you need a shield, but you give disadvantage. So here's your chance to remove, and not even talking about damage, just it never happened. Versus interception, which is damage reduction. So there's your trade-off. Both are good, I would say. And to your right, interception, you don't need a shield. But, yeah, I still think both are definitely viable. One does not replace the other. So I think you can go either way.
Okay. And yeah, that statistically, disadvantage is a -5 to a dice roll.
Yep.
So you could prevent the entirety of it, and protection could also help reduce the chances of critical hits, because 2 dice, you know, unless you roll 2 20s, that's you'd be reducing crits, and you would be possibly negating the entirety of damage, not just a little bit. 1d10 plus proficiency. So, you know, even then, I guess especially at higher levels, if you think about that too, interception would be amazing at lower levels.
Yeah, top end interception, you'd be blocking what? That's 16 damage per round just for coming out to play. That is not bad at all.
But when you get up to, for instance, in Tomb of Annihilation I'm running at the store, the group is encountering a very difficult situation regarding some stone creatures. And these things have 5 attacks each.
Oh, I know where you're at. Okay.
And
yeah, I know where you're at.
And so, I mean, this is the attack, you know, if you could reduce 1, okay, but there's so much damage output at this level that, you know, interception would be interesting, you know, maybe at lower levels, but, you know, protection then is more stern, because again, we're talking about versatility. You might be giving up something to get something else. But then again, if I recall correctly, for the fighter, or at least it was indicated that during a long rest, or no, was it what was it that allowed us to swap out our battle tactics or fighting styles on a rest?
Yeah. We'll come back to that, because I know it's there.
Oh, okay. I might have been thinking of you know what? I was confusing with skill versatility on an ASI. Okay, never mind. Sorry, everyone. Oh no, spoilers. We're getting into content that's going to happen in a minute. All right, next up, thrown weapon fighting. You can draw a weapon that has the thrown property as a part of the attack you make with the weapon. In addition, when you hit with a ranged attack using a thrown weapon, you gain a +1 bonus to the damage roll. I just immediately had to mind like a carpenter's belt full of hammers, or a bandolier that had just daggers for days.
Nice.
Darts also would be fun.
Yeah, just covered in darts. Like, well, I don't know if anyone's readers of the Wheel of Time. When Matt Cawthon became really proficient with knives, he'd just be like covered in them. and someone asks him, say, remove your weapons, and he's got like 14 daggers he's pulling from his hat, his boots, his belt, his sleeves, and even the warriors are like, wow, this guy has a lot of daggers. That's ridiculous. You could play that guy.
I like it. It's, you're not an archer, but that's fine. The thrown weapon fighting, you might, if you have like a barroom brawler style, you have someone who maybe even wants to do an improvised thrown weapon. This could stack onto it. Just staggers darts for days. It's cool. I don't think it's overpowered. The +1 damage, okay, it's cool. It's, something. They could probably increase it. A lot of thrown weapons are low damage. They could probably increase it because dueling gives you a +2.
That's true.
If it was +2, I don't think I'd be too upset with that. It is a little weird though, why they're specifying you can draw a weapon that has the thrown property as a part of the attack. Oh, you know what? Because I think they normally tack it onto with the item interaction with the movement. Though I don't know if that changes anything. Because otherwise, in the player's handbook, it talks about being able to move and draw your sword or other such things.
I think they're sort of getting the idea to say more on the fly, I'm moving and also pulling us out and just sort of throwing it into your face from 20 feet away.
Unarmed fighting. Your unarmed strikes can deal bludgeoning damage equal to 1d6 plus your strength modifier. If you strike with 2 free hands, so we go for like the, smash, brr, it becomes a d8, kind of as a versatile, similar to a versatile weapon here. When you successfully start a grapple, you can deal 1d4 bludgeoning damage to the grappled creature. Until the grapple ends, you can also deal this damage to the creature whenever you hit it with a melee attack. Hi, Letimus, welcome. So this is wrestling. You're not a monk, although you can come kind of close. It doesn't make your fists magical. Grappling is really good as a mechanic. So if you make a wrestler, I could see you taking this to squeeze out that damage. It's interesting because this does tickle. We're going to go into a splat with this. With the Sword Coast Adventures Guide, there's a type of barbarian, the Battle Rager, that has something kind of like this, except it's dependent on them wearing spiked armor. So this would be... I guess if you want to mix fighter and a battle rager and you're wearing spiked armor, you're going to get even more damage in a grapple. I don't know. It's cool. It gives you, more than just a 1-point pop and strike. Because maybe you want to build a wrestling fighter. Maybe you want to fight with your hands instead of always having to have a sword or an axe or a lot of the weapons that you did. And the fact you also get some cool grapple mechanics too. And damage on a grapple, that seems... I don't think it's overpowered, but I certainly think that would be a defining feature of your character.
Yeah, this definitely speaks to me of both these last two we've gotten into, thrown weapon and unarmed fighting as your fighting style. This sounds like a defining characteristic of the fighter that you are trying to build. Paladin saying, oh shoot, I could be Rey Mysterio. Considering the bludgeoning from the grapple, I'd argue you could be Samoa Joe.
Oh.
But that's just me. I think that's what it's kind of reaching for. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. I think that actually a thrown weapon fighting fighter and an unarmed fighting fighter, I think these are two things that would be very interesting in the hands, not of the players, but in the hands of the DM.
Oh.
Recently, in my game through Acquisition Incorporated, my crew ran into a murderer named Rosk the Strangler, and his speciality was unarmed fighting and basically gripping his victims and throttling them to death.
Makes sense.
Very, very brutal, hands-on, if you will, assassin. So I didn't know this was available. If I would have given him unarmed fighting and rename it something like Iron Grip or something like that, that would be his special ability. that I keep behind the table to, turn up the heat a little bit on the combat.
I like it, and I completely agree. Maybe we could also say blind fighting, because I mean, all right, for any of you out there in the audience, or even you, Jamoose, have you ever wanted to play the blind fighter, like the blind archer, or the because this says attack rolls. This doesn't mean that it's melee only. This is if you want to be the blind archer and you want to like super tune your ears to track or something. It's maybe not as common as we think of the burly wrestler or the barroom brawler who wants to throw the bottle of beer and smash it, or the person that has the bandolier of knives, like what we were talking about. It's a lot of flavor, it's a lot of fun, and especially if you go with what is the build, champion? I think it lets you get a second fighting style. That would be extra fun, because now you can, you're getting to combine it. And I do want to say that while we're talking about fighter now, I want you all to remember that this playtest is opening up the styles also for Paladin and Ranger to expand their fighting styles too, which I believe each of them is relegated to only 4 of the 6 that are normally available. And so this is going to expand fighters to 10 and paladins and rangers to 8. And wouldn't that be interesting if you get a paladin, like a thrown weapon paladin? It's breaking a lot of the knight in shining armor style, or just the blind fighter ranger, who's just used to getting into the mix, or maybe because I don't know, he hunts in a very thick forest or something. He'll hunt with a bow or his dagger, and he'll keep getting, even if he's having trouble seeing. Or just, I don't know, just a big burly, I don't know, like a wrestling paladin sounds really interesting to me. The unarmed fighting style. Can you imagine, like, you could smite and provide your own pyrotechnics with all of your super moves.
That's actually pretty good.
You just go up to Oh, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I had another thought too with thrown weapon fighting. Just do something like that, and blind fighting if you want to mix them up. Yeah, you can have like a vengeance paladin, give him nothing but hand axes, and just call him the hatchet. He's like forest assassin hunting down poachers in the name of Myliki or something like that. That'd be kind of cool as well. But I like this. I think you win though with the I punch, and it also deals like thunder damage, so like the entire ring just reverberates. I really like that. That's really cool. But speaking of which,
batarangs, by the way, vengeance paladins, batarangs.
Oh yeah, Batman has been possible for a long time. Now he's just extra possible now. To go back up a little bit here.
Yes.
In talking about all these different fighting styles, that sort of thing, you missed martial versatility. We've been talking about versatility when it comes to cantrips. Martial versatility says that whenever you gain a level in a class that has the fighting style feature, fighters, paladins, rangers, you can replace a fighting style with another style available to your class. Top of page 12 is where you're looking.
Oh, I was back on. Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at maneuver, not. You said martial. Yet. Sorry about that.
Nope. Martial
versatility. You are correct. I was just looking at the styles. Martial versatility.
Yeah, it goes on to say that this change represents a shift of focus in your martial training and practice, causing you to lose the benefits of one style and gain the benefits of another style. Once again, if you're not happy with what you've chosen, you want to reflavor your fighter halfway through, the option is there. I might see maybe people won't take this one very, very often. Like, it kind of feels like when you choose your fighter, he's going to be a great weapon fighter, and that's it. That's going to be his shtick for the whole gamut. But the option is there.
It is allowing for that flexibility, similar to how warlocks can retrain their invocations when they level up.
Right.
It doesn't ruffle my feathers. I don't think it's broken. I don't think it's necessarily bad. If you get someone who learned to swing a two-handed sword and suddenly wants to drop that and go into archery, the
Paladin's
rules
got a great point here too. If their character lost their eyes in a fight, Maybe
Oh.
maybe you made a bargain with your DM. You invoke that bargaining rule where it's like, okay, instead of losing that third saving throw and you die, you get a critical wound and your eyes are taken from you. Well, now you must make a choice to say, I will be a blind fighter instead. Very cool. It's mechanical and good flavor.
I enjoy it. It goes along with the story. I mean, you might have to, like, oh no, you got to pay attention to the story and come up with a reason why, in this case, you would go into blind fighting. Why you would drop going from a 30-pound like berserk style two-hander to go into now suddenly getting +2 to hit with your bows and arrows. But you know what? It's your game. And a set of rules can't account for all of the different stories and all the different reasons and enemies and everything that's happened. So I like martial versatility. It don't phase me none, and it sounds like you're on board with it as well.
Yep, cool beans, cool beans. It does lead nicely. Now we go back to the fighter section where you mentioned, okay, fighters have the core 6 fighting styles, +4 is 10, but actually they have 11. And that segues nicely into superior technique.
Uh-huh. Oh, you know what, Jamoose, we got called up by Derek.
Oh, what? Oh. Damn it, Matty Morgan, Super Jamoose, he got me wanting to play cleric again. I mean, yeah, cleric. It's just a good choice. Just a good choice for...
Cleric! It's a good choice. Dun-dun-dun-dun.
Good choice for good boys.
This is a poster tacked up somewhere. Super Jamoose. Cleric, it's a good choice. And I'm sorry, anyway. How dare we have fun while talking about D&D?
How dare I, yeah.
All right, take us into the fighter, then.
The superior technique. So you get to choose your fighting style. You could also choose superior technique. That's just like, well, what the heck is superior technique? Check this out. You learn one maneuver of your choice from among those available to the Battle Master archetype. So you get to skip the line, and you get to take a Battle Master technique right off the hop. If a maneuver you use requires your target to make a saving throw, its saving throw DC is 8, plus your proficiency, plus your strength or dexterity, your choice. That's cool. And you get that all-important superiority die. You get a D6. Now, there is a feat that allows you to dip into Battle Master. That also exists, but this allows you to get it right away. You can even dip one level fighter and just have that superior technique in your back pocket. Besides maybe one or two other things, this is probably my favorite new proposed feature for Unearthed Arcana this year.
Does this undermine the Battle Master? And now I know you said there's a feat. But even, I don't know, if we're playing a game where feats aren't allowed, this would then kind of reopen this back up. Do you feel as if this would somehow undermine the Battle Master, though? Because now every fighter can get dip.
Does it undermine going full Battle Master? I don't think so, because Battle Master, you notice one thing, though, too. You gain one superiority die, which is a D6. It's added to any dice you have. You're stuck at that D6. So, if anything, I think it entices you to go full Battle Master, and that, hey, if you like this, there's more. And the other dice get bigger, and there's more options. So, no, I just think this is a wonderful option in that I'm pretty sure this is a result of survey. Everyone is screaming to say, we should have a taste of this right from level 1.
And this really, a lot of these as well, are kind of fighting styles in their own right, or it's a fun little trick that you can pull off. By dipping into one, I mean, again, as you said, you get one as a feat. And a feat is a big event for a character. You only get a couple of them, even as a fighter. If you take this and you get another one, even, that's a big sacrifice. So, I agree with you that I don't think this is really stepping into the Battle Master fighter, because the Battle Master fighter is going to get more and is going to be better at all of them than just the simple dip. But if you do find a fighting style that you want to help define your character, this would allow you to do so. And unless this is, I don't know if this is something available to paladins and rangers, this would help the fighter be even more different than the Paladins and the Rangers because the expanded fighting styles, all the expanded fighting styles go to the Paladins and Rangers as well. So if you still want to have your niche, maybe you do the rally cry instead. You're a rallying fighter, whereas a Paladin or a Ranger wouldn't have that as an ability or an option.
Well, actually, I disagree. I think how this is phrased is that superior technique is unique to the fighter only. I mentioned this is the 11th style, because Paladins get Blessed Warrior and Rangers get Druidic Warrior. So this one is unique to the fighters only, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah, it's an option that sets them apart from... Yeah, because they get more spice to their fighting style options because they could take a technique.
Right.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that when you get to a second level Paladin and you take fighting style, you can't cross directly into superior technique unless you dip one level of fighter. That's clarified there. Otherwise, it's all kosher.
Now we get to apparently what I was chomping at the bit to read, which is maneuver versatility.
Oh yeah. Oh hell yeah.
If you know any maneuvers from the fighter's Battlemaster archetype, you can replace one maneuver you know with a different maneuver whenever you finish a long rest. This change reflects your physical and mental preparation for the day ahead. It's swapping out a cantrip for the spellcaster. I don't find it offensive. I don't find it undermining. It makes sense. You're battle planning. You're tactical. You're all right, team. This is what we do, and you know, coach comes in and tells you to take a knee. All right, this is here's the plays. I'm fine with this.
I like it. It smells to me of the tactician. I keep getting little flavors of Warlord from 4E. One of the few things I did like from that is that I can kind of swap on the fly and think, this is what I want inside my toolkit for today. I want to be able to do ambush, or I want to be able to snipe, or I think that, today's not going to be a fighting day, I want Silver Tongue. That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you prepare for a roleplay encounter in my Dungeons & Dragons? Get out of here.
There should be a warning on this book or something like that. Jeez.
Also, fighters are getting lots of fun stuff here. First level,
lots of love.
maneuver options. Suddenly, we've gone from the bread and butter, just play a human fighter to learn how to play D&D, to suddenly you're like wizard tier with all the options you have available to you. If you have access to maneuvers, the following maneuvers are added to the list of options available to you. Maneuvers are available to battle masters and to characters who have the superior technique fighting style or the martial adept feat, which you had invoked earlier. So we can ambush. When you make a dexterity stealth check or an initiative roll, you can expend one superiority die and add the die to the die roll. And this is great because, you know what? Fighters are very good dex fighters as well. They're not all sword and board. Fighters make awesome archers as well, or other sneaky sneaks. And you want to make a sneaky fighter? That would be a good one for you. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Even just for the initiative roll, what if you don't have the alert feat, which gives you that +5 to your initiative, or the DM suddenly springs on you and say, we've got that nighttime ambush. It's like, no, I have ambush. I'm gonna outflank these guys. Submarine move. I'm just gonna have that with me. Yeah, Macabre Derek has got it on the head here. Don't underestimate alert.
Yeah.
Very good feat.
He's been getting some work in with that alert feat on the Tuesday game that he plays in on the channel here too.
No kidding.
And a ranger in the Thursday game, that's that alert feat saved his life on a couple occasions.
Nice.
All right, bait and switch. When you're within 5 feet of an ally on your turn, you can expend one superiority die and switch places with that ally, provided you spend at least 5 feet of movement. This movement doesn't provoke opportunity attacks. Roll the superiority die until the start of your next turn. The ally gains a bonus to AC equal to the number rolled. I don't know, get a little shield, a non-wizard shield. Or just like what I mean is like a temp AC buff. It's cool. You want to fight back to back with the barbarian or the rogue because the rogue needs you to get some sneak attacks in. Yeah, it seems pretty straightforward. It has the resources if you need the superiority die to do it, If you don't have it, you can't do it. And you got to have a little bit of movement. Could come into play. A little bit of a boundary limiter. I like it. It's flavorful. Makes for good team combat. 2 fighters with that doing the back to back brawler style would be cool. Ooh, Letimus, yeah. That would be a lot. So yeah, they take turns using their superiority die, and they just turn into a 2-person tornado with their weapons as they're spinning around and.
It's the goblin ability. Goblins have this. It's called redirect attack. Well, the goblin boss has redirect attack, and I'm pretty sure the player goblin has that as well. Although this is even better because when you make the switch, now you've got your bonus to AC applied. So clever. I like it.
Next up, we can brace. When an enemy you can see moves within 5 feet of you, you can use your reaction to expend 1 superiority die and make 1 weapon attack against that creature. If the attack hits, add the superiority die to the attack's damage roll. Okay.
God, I love this. This is just so simple. It's a sucker punch. It's so dumb. It's so simple, but I love it.
The term brace, I don't know if that's really... I don't know. What bracing doesn't seem like this action. I like the action. Yeah. I don't think that the terminology they used for it, though, is... I don't know.
It doesn't quite fit. I would call it sucker punch myself, but then again,
yeah, something like that.
But anyways, I like it. And also, if you've got that versatility, it might be something nice to have. Maybe I'm in that social arrangement where it's nah, maybe I might need something like this, and I want to have brace or sucker punch available when things get nasty.
A lot of these are we're imaginative people as D&D players, at least I'd hope so. But I get that, shield to shield, the enemy. It looked like the cover. Are you familiar with the cover of it's not World War, it's just Warcraft 2, where you have the pirate human and the orc that are almost forehead to forehead.
Yeah,
and you can almost imagine their shields right up against each other's or staring at each other over this. And just what you're talking about, sucker punch, when you kind of pop them right over the shield because you're so close in this epic tension moment. Yeah, Tides of Darkness, thank you.
Tides of Darkness or Beyond the Dark Portal, as the case may be.
Next up is a Restraining Strike. Immediately after you hit a creature with a melee weapon attack on your turn, you can expend 1 superiority die and use a bonus action to grapple the target. Add the superiority die to your strength athletics check. The target is also restrained while grappled in this way. You could combo that with the fighting style. If you want to go for the big bear hug, the Zangief style fighter.
Yeah, this one's pretty nice. This is, Zangief. That's a great version of that. Zangief, Glasgow kiss kind of thing. I like it.
So it uses an action, uses a bonus action, uses a superiority die. I don't think it's overpowered or underpowered. It does help you assure that you're grappling. And grapple is a very powerful mechanic. It can, if I don't know, you're running a necromancer wizard as your big bad evil guy as a DM, grapple could be very dangerous unless the wizard is prepared for getting out of those situations with magic or magic items or something. Because that the grappling takes an enemy out of combat effectively because it uses up their actions to try and escape the grapple. So that's a good one. And go for more of that. You want the wrestler? You want to do a body-to-body suplex or something like that? Be better at it, and this is one way to do so.
Yeah, you want to make the Brock Lesnar build fighter. This is probably going to be on your repertoire somewhere. Absolutely.
You heard it here, folks. All of these variant features we're just going to compare to wrestlers. You want to be like this wrestler? You take this variant feature.
Now. Bonus points, actually, if you have this as your Brock Lesnar build, and the new Bard, what the heck is it called? The Inspirational Bard, the Orator Bard, that's what it is. Make that your Paul Heyman, you've got an excellent team. Just build from there, man. I want to see that happen.
All right, y'all have homework.
Yeah. Silver tongue. Simple but a beauty. I like this one.
When you make a charisma deception check or a charisma persuasion check, you can expend 1 superiority die and add the superiority die to the ability check. Role playing. Wow. With my fighter? Come on. Yeah. Simple, elegant. You can make a charismatic fighter. What? They all just don't want sword chucks and to hit stuff. Like, it's opening it up like Barbarian. You know, where fighters aren't just Kronk Smash.
Yep. I like it.
Plus, this is kind of mirroring some of the Warlock invocations as well, just in a non-magical sense. All right, Snipe. As a bonus action, you can expend 1 superiority die and make a ranged weapon attack. You can draw a thrown weapon as part of making this attack. So we're seeing maybe some combo with the fighting styles. If you hit, add the superiority die to the attack's damage roll. There you go.
Yeah, it's okay. Myself, if I'm making a fighter, I tend not to make range unless I'm going like Arcane Archer or something like that. But this is cool. It's all right.
Well, and it's thrown weapon too, so even if you want a burly person that you want to throw hammers or darts, you could really chuck that one dart and get, eventually they get up to like D10s, the superiority, they turn into D12s. And can you just imagine? You just like flick that one dart, and you just max out your superiority die on that, and just
12 damage. What? Yeah.
And Studious Eye. When you make a Wisdom Insight check or an Intelligence Investigation check, you can expend 1 superiority die and add the superiority die to the ability check. So, Silver Tongue, but different skills.
Yeah.
Great for investigators, insight and investigation. Beat cops, people who have martial training. Makes them more better, instead of more of touching into perhaps the thievy or the noble fighter. The noble has been trained in fisticuffs, kind of a thing. Even disco cops, oh sheeps, yes. Disco cops that are in some sort of paradise in Elysium, you might even be able to call it. A disco Elysium. I feel like that'd be good in town when the rest pick the fighting stuff. And yes, and especially remember the maneuver versatility where you can swap things out. And so if you take a couple days to get to the next town, the fighter, maybe someone in your party is giving them some quick etiquette lessons. It allows you to swap out over time, become a more cultured fighter, and then when the defecation hits the ventilation, you can snap back into fighter mode, or at least somewhat come back with your maneuvers.
That's not bad flavor-wise. I really like that, to say, okay, we're going into Waterdeep, we're rolling into Waterdeep, we're going to be weak, be on your best behavior, and the wizard sits down with the fighter saying, right, okay, I'm going to teach you how to pay attention to things. We're looking for books, we're going to steal a book, we're going to teach you, and this gives you Studious Eye as what you've prepared for those number of days. And then after that's done, you forget it and you go back to bait and switch or something like that. That's not bad. That's good.
Togetherness, role playing. Oh wow. It's
what is this game? Loriander, what are these rules? They are the Unearthed Arcana class feature variants, optional rules, beta test rules that were released. Maddie is. Thank you for linking that.
Yep.
Not that long ago, actually, about a month ago. Early,
Yeah, not that long ago.
Brand new.
No, I mean, saying this year so late into it, that's a little... They were released sometime this year.
The last group of Unearthed Arcana stuff, because we had one subclass for all 12, then we have these, then we have psionics. This all started back in August, so this is all kind of rolling out at a fairly rapid clip, all things considered.
Yeah, there was a period where there's no Unearthed Arcana for a couple months, then suddenly...
There it is, yep. It is not homebrew. No, it is not. It's all released by WotC. By Wish of the Coast.
It's official homebrew,
Yeah.
It's
I call it beta testing is what this is. There's I think a very strong chance that this will be published and put into something in the next while, in the next year perhaps.
Yeah, in the coming year, I do believe so. All right, now we're moving on to the monk, another martial class here. Monk weapons, something that has been, it might confuse some people or be a point of contention. Let's see what it does to monk weapons. This is going to enhance martial arts, and so martial arts you get at level 1. It's a part of your training being a monk. You can use this feature to define your monk weapons rather than using the definition in martial arts. You practice your martial arts with specially chosen weapons, which become monk weapons for you. You can choose a number of weapons to be your monk weapons, equal to 5 plus your wisdom modifier, minimum of 5 weapons. The chosen weapons must each meet the following criteria. The weapon must be a simple or martial weapon, you must be proficient with the weapon, and the weapon must lack these properties: heavy, special, or two-handed.
Yeah, so this is it's an interesting way, it's an alternate way to describe your monk, and to say that perhaps you're like your Kwaijan Kane, Kung Fu Legend Continues, and that you had those 4 special weapons. You had like the long staff and the butterfly knives and the nunchaku and that kind of thing, which represented the 4 elements. There's some deep cuts if someone remembers that series, but it's, again, it's flavor, it's also mechanics. The one thing I would be very careful with, and that's the second bullet, and that it says you must be proficient with the weapon. This certainly opens up the field, but you must be proficient with the weapon. So here is where there's actually a feat that I think is kind of underused, can actually really shine, and that's Weapon Master.
Yeah.
Weapon Master, you can increase your strength and dexterity by 1. You gain proficiency with 4 weapons of your choice. So you pair Weapon Master with these new monk weapon definition, take your variant human, you get that free feat at first level, and now you have opened up this full roster of things. Or, another thought, be a dwarf, because now you get proficiency with things like Warhammers. Warhammers can suddenly become monk weapons.
Yes.
Just think on that for a second. That's amazing. That's just great.
It is comparing it to a splat book. There is the Kensei monk.
Yes, that's that too.
Which are by subclass weapon masters. Which there's another sort of variant you can have some fun with, which is a gun kata monk. But
Kensei also allows you to use longbows. That's the one really big satellite outlier, is that Kensei is the only one that can let you touch longbows. But neither here nor there on that one.
Well, I was going to ask if you feel that this alternative, because it says it enhances martial arts, but it seems to be offering it as you can use this to replace. Would this make Kensei monks not unique in some way? Or would this actually dovetail very well into it?
That's an interesting point. So far, we've seen a lot of features that bridge into, you keep calling it a good term, but you keep calling it the splat book. It keeps referring into the expansion. This is a first instant where it's like, well, you don't have to. It's in the core now. You can do it a different way. So does it overwrite the Kensei? No, I don't think so, because Kensei has enough unique features to make it its own, but it allows you another way.
I can also see this playing into, because the short swords and the simple weapons are, it's pretty broad, it's universal, but if you're playing a dwarf, you're talking about being a warhammer, if you're playing an elf, and the elves get different weapon trainings as well, that caveat is you must be proficient with the weapon. That could mean then, if you're playing a dwarf monk, then you forego those cool weapon trainings, because then you learn to hit people. This seems to me like you could play a dwarf monk and wield you could wield a warhammer in using it as a monk weapon, which is, I mean, have any of you out there ever played like Dynasty Warriors or similar things? I mean, weapons and hammers and whatnot are used in sort of an Oriental adventure context.
You've also seen it in a movie I can think of as Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and there's the scene in the restaurant where I can't remember names, can't remember the protagonist's name, but she's just being ambushed by like 20 guys, and they have the most wide array of crazy weapons you've ever seen. I remember one guy who's basically carrying a church bell attached to a stick.
Yeah.
You could play that monk. You could do that.
That's, I think that might be what they're going for then, to open up some more options without having to be a Kensei monk. Where if you receive special training from your people, you are a Dwarven monk, because Dwarven monks, I mean, sure, they learn to fight with their fists and whatnot, but if they're receiving this weapon training, or if you do eventually want to take the feat, if it's allowed. Remember, a part of our consideration is, our feats may not be allowed, which is probably why we're seeing a lot of these features exist. That way they're not feats, if you get what I'm saying. Monks don't... two-handed cannot be a property.
Yeah, I'll retract a little bit here. I realized the quite matched because this guy was wielding a two-handed. No, it would just be a big hammer in one hand. That is true.
All right, next up we have... Oh, I'm sorry, was there something else you wanted to address?
Just one last thing I think is kind of cool for flavor. Chuckles2G says, could you forge your Warhammer too? That'd be extra special. That'd be very interesting. So now I am a Dwarven Monk who follows, I don't know, the way of the Iron Head or something like that. Is the Iron Head Monastery to say, as part of your training, it is you who must seek, like, ingots of meteoric iron, bring it back to the forge, you create your own weapon, and you can go forth into the world with it. That is metal, quite literally.
Yes.
Monks
are given artisan tools or an instrument as a part of their training to focus, to give them something to do in the monastery as well. Paladin, always talk with your DM. It's a game of communication. Absolutely. All right, our key-fueled strike. This enhances key, which is right down here on page 78 of your player's handbook. If you spend one key or more as a part of your action on your turn, you can then immediately make one unarmed strike as a bonus action. So
this one, the way that it's phrased is a little bit confusing. Now, I had a conversation in my Acquisition Incorporated game. We have a Shadow Monk, and she was quite confused as to the way this one did, because it sounded a lot like your martial arts feature, where if you use the attack action with an unarmed strike, you can make another unarmed strike as a bonus action, or with a, you sort of follow it up. What this means is that I could, instead, as an action, I've used a key to do something else. Like, say, for example, Step of the Wind. Step of the Wind, I spend a key point to take Disengage or Dash, and... Oh, no, I'm wrong. Nope, that's not the one I'm thinking. I'm thinking, shoot. I'm wrong, because it's a bonus action. Rewind. Go back like a minute. But if I do... Yeah, thank you. Damn it, I need to find an example here. But if I spend a key point as an action, I can still do an unarmed strike as a bonus action. What's the good example here? Shoot, where is it? Here we go. Way of Shadow, Shadow Arts. You can use your key to duplicate the effect of certain spells. As an action, you can spend 2 key points to cast Darkness, or Pass Without Trace, or Silence. I can then follow it up with a bonus attack as a bonus action. There's an example. So now suddenly blind them with darkness and then smack them, roundhouse kick. Could do that. So this again speaks of versatility. It's a little bit weird. I think the phrasing needs some work to make it very clear, but otherwise it's quality of life. Otherwise, I think this is okay.
we've seen 2 monk features that seem to dip into I guess other aspects of who is the monk. We have an elf that's a monk and can bring the elf weapons to bear. We have key-fueled strikes, which, all monks get flurry of blows. That's your action. And then you get the bonus action for 2. So obviously, key-fueled strike isn't intended for that use. But what it will do is exactly what you said. When you go on and you become that monk, and especially with the caster monks, which don't, and maybe even doubly so with the elemental monk, the 4 elements, because I think that's probably this is anecdotal. This is my caveat. I think this is anecdotal, that the 4 elements monk is probably the most unpopular of all the subclass, like class/subclasses. I don't know a lot of people who go out of their way because they do find it. You don't cast like a caster. It burns up your key points pretty quickly, and you just get some generic okay martial arts.
Yeah, I think that one needs a lot of love. It's the monk subclass that I think a lot of people would love to try, but then when they read into it, it's kind of like, it's okay. It's not fantastic,
But this is letting you now actually still get a strike in and cast your spells.
Right.
You're getting a bonus for spending the key, which is a precious resource for you as the Shadow Dancer or as the Elementalist. And even for Way of the Open Hand, you can let's see, you can do a what was it? Was it the? I thought they had one also where you spent a key as an action, but I think this more obviously supports Way of Shadow monks, which are ninja or shadow dancers in other editions, and Way of the 4 Elements, and it gives them a boost without taking anything away from Way of the Open Hand or just the generic monk, the concept of a monk. Which, by the way, for all of you out there, Way of the Open Hand, the abbreviation WOTOH, WOTA!
WOTA?
That's what you shout out when you strike.
Exactly.
You got to represent your school.
Catching up on chat here for just 2 seconds. Black Cabin and King Von Alice saying, from what I remember, Quarterstaff isn't two-handed but versatile. Right. Yeah, you are correct.
Correct.
It is implied that you're going to be using it two-handed, but the Quarterstaff itself is not a two-handed weapon, which means it can be treated as a monk weapon. You're right.
Azrael, real quick, is taking off. It was great to see you again, Azrael. Thanks for hanging out. I hope to see you again. And by the way, Azrael, by the end of the year, I'm hoping to be able to ship out people's minis to clean out the storage closet, so to speak. And so let me know if you want me to send you your minis. Send me a message or something on Discord, please. All right, we have key features. When you gain the key feature at 2nd level, you get access to the following features. Distant Eye. When you make a ranged weapon attack, you can spend 1 key point to prevent attacking at long range from imposing disadvantage on your attack rolls until the end of your current turn. Okay, that's not bad. You can use short bows as a monk. This would also be for darts or throwing stars or an equivalent there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, wait, or is that no? That's probably considered thrown, not ranged, or is that ranged because it has a range?
Well, a thrown weapon is indeed a ranged weapon attack.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. That's. I was overthinking that. Yeah.
King Von Al says I gotta crank up my volume to really hear this other guy. To the rest of the chat, is my volume really, really low? Because I'm just speaking at my normal tone right now.
On my mixer, you're in that solid yellow band.
Okay.
So hopefully.
Well, holla back if I'm a little bit quiet, but let me know. Anyways, Distant Eye. Spend 1 key point to prevent attacking at long range from posing disadvantage on your attack rolls to the end of your current turn. Yeah, that's if you're really doing long distance kind of thing, right?
And that's probably to encourage monks that might feel like they're bound to being melee only, to open up and throw shuriken, throw daggers, use a short bow, or if you end up going kensei, use a longbow. Oh my goodness! If you use distant eye on a longbow, what is a longbow? 750 feet or something like that?
Oh, you're really. That's a number I don't use.
Yeah, you're already dexterous. Anyway, and you don't have disadvantage. Can you
600?
600. That's the maximum long ranger. So you could use distant eye, let alone any feats or anything else that you might have from splashing or whatever else. You can accurately fire arrows from 600 feet away while people are charging up. And then when they get into melee with you, oh no, I don't know, you could probably just like unhook the string on your longbow or even your short bow, and then you use it as a club or or something, and you just
Nice.
get into melee combat.
Hawkeye style. Yeah.
So this expenditure of key is fine. I think it helps people explore more ideas with Monk. It makes me happy.
There you go.
Oh, hey, Valakut, good to see you. Quickened healing. As an action, you can spend 2 key points and roll a martial arts die. You regain a number of hit points equal to the number rolled.
Yikes. That's yeah. It's I mean, it's good for survivability. And hey, you can pair it with the key fueled strike as well, right? Heal yourself and also sucker punch them. Also cool.
That's true.
It seems kind of self-aggrandizing, doesn't it? It seems like, do they really need this?
Well,
maybe.
Way of
maybe.
the Open Hand has wholeness of body, which is a form of self-healing.
But they're the only monk that can really self-heal unless you're casting magic.
Yeah, it is 2 key points worth, I guess. What? I mean, eventually you get up to you do a D10. I guess it'd be a quick little thing. But
it's okay. It's okay, but I think
is it necessary for monks? Like, was this like super needed?
Was it super needed? Maybe not. Again, this maybe feels like a feedback thing. And I imagine there's going to be a lot of monk players out there that would say, I have better things to do with my action economy than dropping heals when I've got a perfectly good cleric in the back. You know what I mean? So, good option. I don't know if it would be super popular. I'm curious what the chat thinks on that one, but
I definitely don't think it's
okay.
broken. Spending 2 key points
No.
and your action to get what a D6 or something. I mean, you get it at 2nd level, so it could even still be a D4. I think you're spending way too many resources, but if you need it in a pinch, I guess.
Sure.
The cost is fair for the reward. Arguably, you're actually paying more for that. So that's probably why. Well, you're not a healer. It's just it's yourself. It feels a little weird. I don't think it's necessarily bad. I don't know how often it'd be used, but hey, I guess it's a tool in your tool belt.
For sure. But yeah, so now your key features have grown from 3 to 5. That's not bad.
Yep, more options. Even if you don't use them, you got them. That being said, overarching, just because you have more options doesn't mean that that's good. Because then we could get into bloat or disinterest, or people just say this is... When you add all the options together that might be released or comboed, maybe something is just... Unless it's a super specific campaign or situation, it just takes up, space in the book. It's not really used. Was it even really necessary for the class? Did it even need to be printed or considered? Is it bleeding into kind of what Macabre Derek was saying earlier? Does it turn you a little bit more into something else that you weren't supposed to? These are all, though, degrees of, or rather, it's. Are you familiar with the heap paradox?
No, I'm not.
The heap paradox is at what point, like if I have my hand full of salt, and I take some and I drop it grain by grain on a table. At what point, what number grain do I go from like a pile of salt to a heap of salt? Like, we all can imagine what a heap of salt is, but can we define the heap of salt? Is it salt number, is it salt grain number 1,299? Or is it actually 1,300? Did that 1 grain of salt take us from not a heap to a heap? And so that's the it's also like a boiling frog, right? If you're familiar with that adage. Although that's the context isn't quite the same, but how many little things do you add before we realize we've intrinsically changed the entire game, even though we did it 1 grain of salt at a time? Because by the time we pull back and we say, wow, that's a heap, and hopefully of, not what a lot of people follow up that's a heap with.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Mittens was saying, I think it takes a bit of stress off of the support. That's true. That's true. Maybe use it in the case of emergencies. Yeah. I don't know. Monk, the proposed changes for Monk, I'm kind of nonplussed about it. The Monk weapon option, I think, is the most interesting of the options given us here. Key Fueled Strike and the key features, take it or leave it.
They don't so much, I guess, support Monk as they support Monk archetypes. Or like Monk subclasses, I guess.
Maybe.
More.
Maybe. But anyways.
Classic Monk is solid as it is, in my opinion. So I guess Monk didn't need a lot, but if it empowers the other things, then so be it. All right, anyway. We're on to Paladin.
Paladin, finally, my boys. These are
the
Paladin. The Paladin.
Or I like putting a little bit of a little bit of an Arabic accent, a Paladin.
The Paladin.
The Paladin. Fighting style options. So if y'all were here for fighter, we get 4 more options. If any of you want to see it, well, there's a link that you can go to. We'll reference it if needed. Or the Paladin. That's true. We make holy butter. So it's there on page 12 if you want to reference it. Though this is just saying that we get to have more than just the regular 4 fighting styles. So, ta-da. The Blessed Warrior style is also added to the list of style options. Just as so fighter could take a battle technique, Blessed Warrior is something you could take instead. You learn 2 cantrips. Cantrips on a paladin without taking the feat to splash. My goodness.
My god, that's actually impossible. What is this coming from?
You learn 2 cantrips of your choice from the cleric spell list. They count as paladin spells for you, and charisma is your spellcasting ability for them. Whenever you gain a level in this class, you can replace one of these cantrips with another cantrip from the cleric spell list.
For reference, the core cleric cantrip list, there's 7 of them: Guidance, Light, Mending, Resistance, Sacred Flame, Spare the Dying, and Thaumaturgy. Or get your degree. Major in business management or accounting. It's okay. It's alright. If you want that spellcaster heavy paladin, this might be the thing for you. If you want to be kind of in the back and you want it to be like this indestructible support battle medic, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, that's not the way I like to play my paladins, but your results may vary.
Now, something that I'm going to go back real quick actually and check. It looks like they did not add cantrips. I wanted to. They added cantrip versatility. No. I wanted to check and see if they added anything to cleric cantrips, which would kind of be like a combo because that would carry forward to the paladin. I don't have a problem with this. If you want to be more of a spellcasting paladin, that's fine. Would a lot of people give up extra AC or extra damage or something for cantrips? Especially if you're like, well, I'm going to take Thaumaturgy and Mending at the cost of, some cool fighting style stuff, which includes also the other 4, and being the smiting, the Armstrong, Armstrong would make from Full Metal Alchemist would make a very interesting fist paladin. Just you smite with your fists.
Don't rub your chest on me.
So it's Blessed Warrior is cool. I'm not offended by it. The fighting style options all work. I could see paladins fighting in these different ways. It's I think it's great. And now we're coming up to paladin spells, where I think our theme has been spells are spells.
Insert Monk.
Warding bond. Yeah, warding bond seems to make a lot of sense actually.
And even gentle repose.
See, it's Mana to Forge. What's this? What's going on? I don't know. What's all these lights and sounds here?
Paladin, thank you for the 5. I'll pull your gotcha capsule when we get to the end here, and we certainly are, because we're in Paladin. There's not too many other classes left after this. So gentle repose, prayer of healing makes sense. Makes sense. Warding bond makes sense. Life transference. I'm not. I'm going off of the name. The mechanics aren't coming to mind. Makes sense. Spirit Guardians. It makes sense. It's interesting, though, because that puts a lot of threat on the battlefield. If you already have a Paladin who's also getting Spirit Guardians to control the battlefield.
That's the big winner right there, I think, is suddenly Paladins have natural chance to get into Spirit Guardians. You just turn the battlefield into a chipper shredder.
Yeah. Bubonic one seems to be happy about Flame Strike also.
That's also cool. Definitely.
It's a blender. It's a spiritual blender.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's the gods asking, will it blend? And then they send their agents to test that out.
Orc dust. Don't breathe. No, orc smoke. Don't breathe this.
Dawn. So Dawn must be. It must be more powerful than daylight.
It is. It's the big brother of that. So let me see here.
Dawn. Like anti-undead. I
The
guess it would make
Dawn.
sense for a paladin to have. Maybe not generically, but
here I got it here. Yeah, 5th level application, 1 action, range 60 feet. You need a sunburst pendant, concentration up to a minute. The light of dawn shines down upon a location you specify within range. Until the spell ends, a 30-foot radius, 40-foot high cylinder of bright light glimmers there. This light is sunlight. When the cylinder appears, each creature in it must make a Constitution saving throw, taking 4d10 radiant damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. Creature must also make the saving throw whenever it ends its turn in the cylinder, and you can move it. So actually it feels a lot more like Moonbeam, if I'm honest, but same idea.
Yeah.
Minty.
Yeah. You're calling down a satellite strike from the heavens above.
The ion cannon, comes on down.
All right, I can dig it. So it seems like with Spirit Guardians, Dawn, Flame Strike, we're getting some big battlefield presence.
For sure. Yeah.
Which, maybe they included that in there because for many people, and I don't blame them for this. I'm not saying it's bad to run your Paladin this way. For many folks, Paladin spells are simply not smites. Does that make sense? Your spell slots are smite slots in most instances. It's just a cool thing that maybe you could do every once in a while otherwise. So maybe giving them a little bit more of an outlet where they're just not smite machines as an option that you could take might allow for kind of like what we're with monks. Maybe you want to play more of a ranged monk until it is time to throw down. All right. Another channel divinity. Harness divine power. Well, this was like the cleric.
It's
you
the same thing.
You can use your channel divinity and get a first level spell slot back. Would that arguably be more powerful on the paladin because of the ability to smite than... paladins can get curative spells too, I guess, but...
That's an interesting point, because now you can siphon off channel divinity to get that spell slot, which again, you're going to siphon into another smite ability. So, yeah, it's just more fuel for smiting, because that's what paladins do, right?
And this would be interesting as well, because you get more channel divinities by multi-classing paladin and cleric together. So this would give you, I guess, even more smites if you decide to do that. But multi-classing is an option. I don't want to ship every class together for that. But something that just popped to mind in that regard. But yeah, I think you'll get a lot more traction smiting by using your divine powers, because you get cool stuff with your oaths. with your Turn the Unholy or Sacred Weapon, for example, you can do cool things. But if you don't need to bind people up or something, this is just a good old reliable smite.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially on a crit. Ooh.
So I think Paladin and Monk, if I may say so, I think it's kind of a case of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, Monk and Paladin are in pretty good places already.
Yeah.
This just adds more. And I mean, Paladin's my class. That's what I prefer. So I mean, for me, this is all just gravy. It's not necessary, but it's nice.
All right. Question
Here
for
we
you.
go.
Question for you. The Ranger is the big old elephant in the room.
Yep.
Do you want to get up and take a quick stretch and come back on Ranger, or do you want to power through Ranger and then we'll take a break? What would you like to do?
I think we're going to take a break because Ranger's going to take a lot of time to get through.
Yes.
Because this takes the fundamentals and shakes it.
Yes.
I think in a good way, in a very good way, but I think we should take a break here first.
Okay, everyone get up. I won't steal O'Sheep's thunder. She'll tell you what you do. But otherwise, refresh yourselves. We'll come back in a couple minutes, and we're going to start with the Ranger because the Ranger is the big... This is the big one. And we'll discuss it. I don't want to spoil anything. We'll see you all in a couple minutes.